Hello, welcome to this video on Key Stage 3 Phonics teaching resources. In this video, I'm going to show you a phonics program that has been designed specifically for Key Stage 3 learners. Now, this program consists of a teacher handbook and 3 student workbooks. So the problem that I'm being alerted to all the time, weekly now, is that children are going to secondary school unable to access the curriculum because of weak literacy skills. In some cases, this is up to 60% of the cohort. Schools are identifying the need for immediate intervention. As I said, I'm getting contacted really frequently now by people looking for guidance, help, ideas, resources. But children are really disaffected. As you can imagine, by that point they've got really low self-esteem, they've got poor engagement, they think that basic literacy is babyish. So it's really challenging to try and get them to participate in some decent intervention and get them up to scratch with their literacy. So the solution, or a possible solution for you that I'm really excited that you're exploring by watching this video, is a phonics program that has been designed specifically for Key Stage 3 learners. This phonics program contains step-by-step lessons that are easy for anyone to deliver, and I think that's really important because we might have adults delivering it who do not necessarily have any experience with phonics teaching or literacy intervention, so for anyone to pick up and deliver, and in bite-sized pieces. So it's bite-sized content that can be used to fit around your timetable. And I do make recommendations for what I hope that you might be able to fit in to work through this program with really good impact, but actually you can work through it at your own pace. It's designed to be flexible to fit around your timetable and your needs. Now, this pick up and go program, so this concept of the books that you can just literally pick up and go with, has been designed in collaboration with another great phonics program called Phonics International. Phonics International by Debbie Hepplewhite. So Key Stage 3 Phonics is compatible with the teaching order and pedagogy in Phonics International. This means that you can go to that website and at no cost at all, completely for free, you can access loads of resources, further teaching material, teacher training support, guidance, and that's at phonicsinternational.com. So do take a look at that when you get a chance. So a bit of an introduction to Key Stage 3 Phonics, and the introduction, the things that I'm going to talk about through this video, you can find this information in the teacher handbook in the front part of that. So the Key Stage 3 Phonics series has been carefully designed to provide you with the materials you need to teach learners that have reached Key Stage 3 but are unable to read or write well enough to thrive with the demands of a Key Stage 3 curriculum. In some places, this is thought to be as much as 60% of the Year 7 cohort. And I haven't made that a figure up. This has come from some schools that have been really drilling down, analysing the data, looking at what's going on. And we're talking about 60% year after year after year. This is not rogue one-off figures. So it's some quite scary statistics going on, but really great that people are tuning into this. English is hard. In the introduction section of the student workbooks, learners are informed that learning to read and write in the English language is especially challenging. They often think that it's their fault that they're not doing well with English, and actually they need reassurance that we all have to work really hard at English because it's a really hard language. So even proficient readers and writers have to work hard to get better at reading and writing, and it takes a long time. And this is a huge misconception when people think about phonics. Many people perceive phonics as something that is concluded in the infants. Huge misconception that we need to address. It causes older learners to face the challenge of low self-esteem alongside the difficulties of weak literacy skills. We do, of course, teach phonics in the infants, but the English language takes many years to master. So even adults who are good readers and writers will still use phonics if they need to read or spell a new or difficult word. Spy code. Phonics can be explained to learners as being similar to a spy code, and I find that with learners of any age, this is a really nice way in with them. They really like this concept. So phonics is a code that matches the sounds that we make when we speak with the letters that we use when we read or write. For example, when you see the letter B, you say B as in bat. When you see the letters EE together, you say E as in eel. The slash marks indicate that we're talking about a sound. The letter C can be a K sound as in cat or a S sound as in city. Mastery. There are over 150 pieces of code, that is, letter-sound combinations or grapheme-phoneme correspondences in English. So it's no great surprise that many learners struggle to master it during just the first few years of school. A 30-week course. The content of this comprehensive course covers the English alphabetic code across one academic year. So it's been designed that each Key Stage 3 Phonics student workbook has 46 to 48 short standalone lessons. It's 1 page per lesson. If the learner is able to receive one 20-minute lesson for 5 days a week, a workbook will be completed in 10 weeks. All 3 workbooks can therefore be completed within 30 weeks. But as I mentioned earlier, this is flexible, so you don't have to work through it at that pace. The impact will be great if you're able to give it that time every single day, because that routine and that consistency, that little and often, we know is really effective with phonics. But if you could only have maybe 2 sessions a week, or even worst case scenario, 1 session a week, it's still worth doing. You just need to take a longer term view of it. Time efficiency. So time efficiency is a really big thing when it comes to phonics teaching being effective. The lessons follow the same structure throughout the course. This eliminates the need for teachers to spend time explaining activities. Time is therefore used effectively by both teacher and learner to focus on the knowledge and skills being taught, practiced, and embedded. Many Key Stage 3 learners taking this course will have irregular gaps in their knowledge and skills. Some lessons will be new learning, and some lessons therefore will be revision. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. So here is an example for you of the content, the level of content and the structure of the lessons. And this is actually a screenshot of the very first lesson from student workbook 1. And it's got some notes laboured over the top to help explain it to you. So at the top we've got the title of the lesson, we've got the examples of the and that, which are some words that if they're working at a very, very low level they may need a bit of support with. They'd be considered tricky or common exception words at this point. There's always an introduction lozenge which gives the guiding adult the actual script, the language that they can use to explain the lesson content to the learners. Section 1 is word reading, so a decoding opportunity, and we encourage the learner to tick when they've read the word, so a bit of self-assessment and engagement in ticking when they've read it. And there's a note there to remember to discuss the meanings of new or unusual words. So if a word comes up in that list and you think learners might not know it, great opportunity for some vocabulary development to discuss that word. Section 2, dictation time. So you've got a space there for 3 dictation sentences. You can absolutely use your own ideas, or you might just want them to practice writing words. But in the teacher handbook, there are 3 dictation sentences provided for you that you can use. Section 3, a letter or grapheme hunt. So the learner finds and underlines some of the focus letters and then goes back and reads the text. So we're looking at phonics at code level, letter sound correspondences, word level, sentence level, and text level. We would ask a question to check understanding, so we bring in a bit of simple comprehension there related to the text. And then also we're starting to bridge from transcription into really early simple composition. So section 4, now it's your turn, is trying to encourage the learner to use some of the words they've been thinking about in the lesson to make up their own sentences. And they'll need differing degrees of support with that. And at the bottom, section 5 is a challenge section. And really the point of the challenge section is to stimulate discussion between the learners and the adult about the code, about the spellings and about the sounds and about words. This is an example from Student Workbook 2, this is lesson 1, and actually what you'll notice moving from Workbook 1 to Workbook 2, it's exactly the same structure and format. There is a subtle progression, so we now have more complex alphabetic code, we have spelling alternatives, we have more complex vocabulary, we've taken a step up, and the text for reading is ever so slightly longer and has a very slightly smaller font. So we're progressing them in that way, but other than that, it's the same structure of lesson. And then on to Workbook 3. And again, you'll see same format and structure as Student Workbook 1 and 2, a subtle progression, more complex alphabetic code. So we're now looking at less common spelling alternatives, more complex vocabulary. The text for reading is longer and has a smaller font. And we now don't have space on the page for a challenge section. So we don't have a challenge section. But I hope that you would agree that looking at that page, thinking about coming from really, really low levels of literacy to achieve this would be amazing. And this is the very beginning of Workbook 3. So this is getting those children right back on track, maybe even ahead of where they would have been in a fast-tracked one-year course. Revisit and review charts. At the start of each Key Stage 3 Phonics student workbook are revisit and review charts. These are used as a warm-up activity at the beginning of each lesson to help learners become confident in their knowledge of the alphabetic code. As well as providing a practice and consolidation activity, revisit and review charts are a useful tool for learners' self-assessment because they are able to tick off the code they know and take ownership over their own progression. They could do this using a different coloured pen at weekly or fortnightly intervals or half-termly, whatever works for you, but students really love ticking off what they know and taking ownership for their own learning. It's a very positive thing. Sub-skills of reading and spelling. So there are 2 specific skills that are rehearsed when using those revisit and review charts. Firstly, a sub-skill of reading. The learner sees the letter or letters and says the sound. Learners independently or with a partner take turns to look at the grapheme, which is the letters or letter group, and say the sound that the grapheme represents. Sometimes the grapheme represents more than one sound. The key word underneath the grapheme helps the teacher and the learner to identify the correct sound. And the second skill that is rehearsed using the charts is a sub-skill of spelling. Hear the sound and find the letter or letters. The teacher or partner says a sound and the learner points to the corresponding grapheme on the chart. So what code does the programme cover? Well, here we have coming up the contents pages from the 3 student workbooks, just to give you a visual overview of the type of code covered, the sort of quantity of that and the way it's progressed through the books. So here we have the contents, the 46 lessons in student workbook 1. Here we have the contents from student workbook 2, we've got 48 lessons. And here we have the content from student workbook 3, and again 48 lessons in that one. And you can see that we get up to some really quite complex code, things like lesson 41, the PS spelling for the S sound, as in pseudo. So what do the lesson plans look like? Really, really straightforward and simple. We want them really user-friendly, that somebody doesn't have to do lots of prep. They can just pick up this handbook, follow the lesson plan and roll with it. So here we have just an extract of a lesson plan, and it really simply just guides the adult through those sections, through those lozenges in the student workbook, and gives them the script, what to say, how to explain it, what the words are, the sentences they might need for dictation, and things to sort of draw to the attention of the children. What about assessment? We do include assessment. We have a diagnostic assessment. So I like to say that actually most learners benefit from simply starting at the beginning of Student Workbook 1 and following the full programme. It doesn't do them any harm whatsoever to go back, do some revision before they move forward. But sometimes teachers like more reassurance about where in the programme students should start. And also, admittedly, a baseline assessment can be really useful to track the progress over time and really show the impact that you're having on the student. So the teacher handbook contains a diagnostic assessment plus full administration guidance that tells you exactly how to use that assessment. Here's a little snapshot. It actually has 3 parts, but I've just snapped the first 2 parts here. There's a student sheet, and the student is doing some code recognition, looking at the pieces of code, some decoding, reading some words, and then also some segmenting with a dictation for spelling. We've also got snapped there the teacher sheet, and on the teacher sheet we've actually got the basically the answers. So I'm not assuming that an adult picking it up would know what the sounds are for those pieces of code. So we have guidance, so they know that when they look at, for example, the letters IE, the code IE, the sounds for that could be I as in pie, or E as in field, and there's an explanation of that there to support the adult that's using the assessment. There are also end of workbook assessments. At the end of each student workbook are word and text level assessments for reading and writing. We've got some demonstrations of that. So this is taken from Student Workbook 2, it's lesson 47, and it's the word level assessment. So we've got words for reading, appropriate to that level, and a word dictation for spelling, and of course the dictation is provided in the lesson plan. And then lesson 48, we've got a text level assessment, so a piece of text for reading and a space for a text dictation for spelling and transcription fluency, and again the dictation is provided in the lesson plan. So I hope you like what you've seen and that was quite a useful introduction for you. If you'd like to try this material, if you want to get your hands on this, you think it might work for you and your students, you can download these as ebooks completely for free at my website, abigailsteele.com. If you want hard copy books, you prefer your students to have actual books in their hands, you can also buy them from Amazon in paperback at £4.99 per book. I will post links in the comments below. And if you have any queries, you can get in touch. You can get in touch through my website on a contact form, or you can email me at abbysteele.educationconsultant@gmail.com. So thank you for your time in listening today, and I really hope that these materials help you. Let me know. I would love to have some feedback. I would love to hear how you're getting on, or just get in touch and say hi.